All right, Shalom. I just wanted to just like brainstorm real quick and just ask a couple of questions that I've had on my mind. For the people that believe in full preterism, right? For those listening who don't know what the belief of a full preterist is, basically the belief is that like all Bible events are fulfilled, right? And that Jesus returned for his second coming in 70 AD. So basically all the events in the Bible, past, present, and future, it's all came and gone, right? So basically at this point in time in 2024, the Bible is basically like just like a history book at this point. All of it all has already taken place. There's nothing in it that's left for the future, and they also believe that we're currently living in the kingdom of heaven. Again, just off the start, that's hard to swallow, right? That's hard to comprehend, such a ridiculous belief, just off the start. But I was just thinking the other night, about some of the situations taking place in the world, and some of the events happening, and I was just thinking to myself, it's like, seriously, how can anybody sit there and really convince themselves that right now, today, we're living in the kingdom of heaven if literally all of this violence and and famine and war and evil taking place on the earth. It's like, how the hell could we be in Christ's kingdom of heaven right now today if all of these events are happening right now? It makes no sense, and I'm going to give a couple examples. So again, this is basically 5 questions that I have for people who believe in full preterism. So please, if you listening to this are one of these people, I do invite you to comment down below on this video, and please do explain all 5 of these great points that I'm going to ask here. So I'm going to rant on them, and I'm also going to ask the question, to you. It's like, explain to me how, say for instance, such and such can be explained today, right? So I have 5 questions here, and I'm going to ask anybody that believes in full preterism, if they can explain one or all of these questions, because in my mind, this clearly, proves the belief wrong. Clearly, this proves that the full preterist eschatology and whole view about the Bible is completely incorrect. So my first question out of the 5 is, if Judgment Day has already passed, why should we live holy today if we have no consequences for our actions? Because basically the belief they have is that Judgment Day has already came and went, right? So basically the lake of fire judgment that has already occurred. Jesus Christ already came and judged the world 2,000 years ago. That's done away with. So basically the question is like, well, wait, if judgment has already passed, what the hell consequences there now for living ungodly then, living in sin? What consequences are left? Because according to them, the judgment day, the great white throne judgment, that already happened in like, around 70 AD, right? That happened 2,000 years ago. And Christ already returned. The plagues of Revelation 16, that happened, 2,000 years ago, around 70 AD. Basically, like they'll say, the focal point on all the prophecies being fulfilled, that all correlates back to 70 AD, when the Romans, sacked Jerusalem, right? Led by Titus, right? In his army, he led them and they sacked Jerusalem. So basically, that was like the climax, right? That was like the end all be all where all these events basically concluded. Like, I was even talking to a person who believes this, and actually a well known person, this guy Elvin, and he's the sidekick, right, the right hand man of Pastor William Bell. And Pastor William Bell has been teaching full preterism for 40 plus years. Literally, that guy has been teaching the doctrine of full preterism longer than Apostle Dahar has known that he's an Israelite for. It's like, damn, really? That guy's been teaching that far beyond the time that GMS even existed as a camp? Damn, that's crazy. And the dude's still going out teaching that today? Wow. That's mind blowing to me. That's just mind blowing to me. But anyway, long story short, Elvin, he's the sidekick of Pastor William Bell, right? They're both well known, full preterists, and they do debates about it, right? I've debated Elvin on it, and basically he said, he basically he was winging it. He didn't really know how to respond to my questions that I was asking him. I asked him basically, if Judgment Day has already passed, will basically that means that people can do what they want today because there's no consequence for their actions, right? He didn't really know how to respond to that, but he was saying something like, well, by and large, people are good today. People are actually following God's commandments today. And then I asked for one example, because remember, he said by and large, people are living by it. So basically, like a good amount of the population by and large. And then one of his examples was, well, if you go, and get a job somewhere, your boss has to, pay you for your labor, right? So see, if he was wicked, he would not pay you for your labor. But see, since he's a good, godlike man, he pays you for your labor. It's like, wait a second, hold on a second, hold on. So that's really your best argument. It's like you do realize, since basically you're saying if he pays me, that means that he is righteous, but if he didn't pay me, he was being unrighteous. So see, since he paid me for my labor that we made a contract and agreed on, that I would get paid for that, I get paid that much for coming in and doing this work. But apparently, since he paid me, that makes him a good Christian man. I was like, okay, well, wait a second. You do realize that there's companies out there that make a large portion of money from hiring women to do certain things on camera, right? You get what I'm saying. So wait a second. So the fact that they pay those women to lay around with random guys, does that make those companies righteous then? Does that make those companies righteous because they pay women to basically commit adultery? According to these guys, they have to say yeah. According to Elvin, he has to say yeah, because he said the fact that they're paying people for their labor proves that they're godly. So according to Elvin, companies that makes these X videos or whatever, those are righteous companies because they pay their actors. I mean, come on, this is amazing to me. This is just amazing. Or I'll give you another one. You do realize that around the world, right, gangs that, might, smuggle drugs around the world, right? You do realize they pay their drug mules that they use, right? Right? Or the people they have to sneakily, bring these across borders into countries. You do realize they get paid for that, right? So would you say that those drug dealers are righteous because they pay their drug mules to, bring these drugs across borders and sneak them around places? So does that make that righteous? According to him, he has to say yes, because he said the fact that they pay you for your labor proves that they're righteous. I mean, come on, this is amazing to me. This is just amazing. But again, a lot of people are just gullible and just stupid. Let's see. So a whole nother point that I want to say is, why is Israel at war today if Christ is back? Right? That's the second question I have. Remember, there's 5 questions in total. So that was the first one. You already heard me say it. So that was the second one. Why is Israel and Gaza at war today if Christ is back and ruling over the earth? First of all, and again, I'm out and about right now, so I can't pull up all the scriptures. But I'm saying, like, there's verses in the Bible that speak about that when Christ comes back, the nations won't know war anymore. The nations are not going to know war. They're not going to fight against one another anymore. So why the hell is it, if we're living in heaven right now, why the hell are Israel and Gaza at conflict right now? Why the hell is Russia invading Ukraine for over the last 2 years? Why the hell is China circling the island of Taiwan every 24 hours, making themselves ready to invade that island? Why the hell is Russia threatening the United States with nuclear war if they send troops into Ukraine? Like, what? Why is all this happening if we're living in eternity right now? If we're living in the kingdom, why the hell is all this happening? This will correlate back to a question I'm going to ask a little bit later on in this video. But think about this. If we're living in heaven, as full preterists claim, why the hell are we seeing all these things happening? Why the hell are we seeing countries invading one another? Why are we seeing hundreds of thousands of people being killed in these wars? I don't know about you, but that seems like something that the Bible said would happen in the end days leading up to Christ's second coming, not something that would be taking place as Christ is ruling on the earth, right? So again, somebody that's listening who's a full preterist, please explain these points to me. Like how is it you have people in Gaza, right? There's literally people over there starving to death as I speak, right? And hell, even I was watching the news the other day, right? America's dropping in aid over there, right? Like Israel came out and said we're not allowing any aid into the country, so America went behind their back and they like airdropped some aid packages into Gaza to try to help feed people. And really, that's not going to do a whole lot, right? I seen on another news outlet they were saying if they truly wanted to feed all the population of Gaza, 3 meals a day, right, a healthy diet, they would have to have like 500 semi truck fulls of food enter into the place every single day, or like 50 ships, just bringing food. They would need that like every day just to feed the population of people there, right? 3 meals a day. Shit, even 2 meals a day, would be cutting it close. You know what I'm saying? So, again, you literally have people over there starving right now. But this is heaven right now. You got soldiers in Ukraine right now, as I speak, that are fighting out in trenches like what happened in was it 1914, right? When the World War One began, right? As I speak right now, there's literally trench warfare taking place right this moment. But those people are living in heaven right now. I mean, come on. This is amazing to me how there's literally people out there who believe this nonsense. It's just amazing to me. Just amazing. I just can't fathom how anybody could read the Bible and say, well, look, all of these things already happened. So right now, today, we're living in the kingdom heaven, right? Christ is ruling on earth today. All nations are obedient unto him. Again, this is their words, not mine. All nations are obedient unto Christ. Christ is ruling over all the nations today, and they are all obedient unto him. So wait a second, all obedient unto him? As like you do know there's a billion people in the world who are Muslims, right? That don't believe on Christ. You do realize there's a billion people in the world who are like Hindus, or at least hundreds of millions of Hindus. You do realize there's a billion people in the world who are atheists that completely reject the idea of God altogether. There's hundreds of millions who are agnostic, meaning they're open to the idea of a God existing, but as of now they don't believe in a God. So again, we could factor all these things, and then, I can't even forget about the hundreds of millions of people around the world who believe in other religious beliefs that contradict the Bible. So again, all these billions of people added together that that do reject Christ and don't believe in him altogether in any way, shape, or form. How the hell could we say that Christ is ruling over the nations and they're all obedient to him if literally like 80% of the Earth's population, or we'll say, let's just be fair and say 70% of the Earth's population does not believe on Christ as the Messiah? So how the hell is he ruling over the earth if 70% of the population doesn't even believe in him? That's a question they can't answer. Oh, and that ties into my third question. I have a list here, so I didn't read it off, but my third question, read it from the paper, says, how is Christ ruling all nations today if they are not obedient to him? Right, so again, to sum it up, very simple. Explain to me how Christ is currently in 2024 ruling over all nations on earth if all nations on earth are not obedient unto him. And you can't just say, well, they're obedient to him. No, you have to demonstrate your claim. You can't just claim that that's what it is. You have to demonstrate your claim. Like, let me give you an example, right? How are you obedient unto Christ? Well, you follow the commandments, right? What is that? 1 John 2:3. They that say they know him but keep not his commandments are a liar, and the truth isn't in them. 1 John 5:3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. Right, so again, the Bible says the way you show your love towards God, the way you honor God, is by living your life according to his laws that he set up for us to live by. That's how you show your respect and your love towards God, is by living your life in line with how he said to live, aka following the laws and commandments found in the Old Testament. So again, we don't see that around the world today. We do not see that. So again, you have to answer that question for me. Anybody who believes in a full preterism. And I alluded to this next question. This is the fourth question. I alluded to this earlier. And the question is this. If the end times are already past 2,000 years ago, why are we seeing the end time signs happen today in the world? Like, say, for instance, Mark 13, Luke 21, Matthew 24, 2 Ezra 15, 2 Ezra 16, among other verses in the Bible. Even in Daniel 12, it makes, some points alluding to it. And even, other points like, say, for instance, I believe Peter speaks about it as well, right, among other people in the Bible. Again, there's references all throughout the Bible of things that will be taking place in the end times that we're clearly seeing happening in the world today. Like, say, for instance, Christ said nations would be fighting against nations. We're seeing that, seeing all these nations fighting against one another. We're seeing that all over the world. We're seeing race riots taking place. We see famines taking place. It says pestilence. Look up what the word pestilence means. The world literally is going through one for the last 4 years from 2020. Food shortages, right? People are, having to work 3 jobs just to afford to have 2 meals a day over here in the United States and all over the world. Can barely feed themselves. Living on scraps. Living on food banks. There's such an increase in number of people going to these food banks, every month or every couple weeks, that a lot of food banks say they have to just completely reject people when they show up because they don't have enough to give out to everybody. And it's sad, but I'm just showing, people are just continuing to be put into a more dire situation. It's like the situation is not getting better. It's just continuing to get worse. And why is that? Well, I have the answer. Because we're entering into Jacob's trouble, aka the Great Tribulation time, right? That hasn't happened yet. The Great Tribulation did not happen in 70 AD. Anybody that believes that is just delusional. Now, was 70 AD a tribulation on people? Yeah, but when you read the Bible, the word tribulation can have different contexts. So let me give you an example, right? In John chapter 16, I believe it's verse 33, Christ said, in me you'll have peace, but in the world you'll have tribulation. So what did he mean by that? He said that you'll have hardships in the world, because the word tribulation, it just means like hardships, right? A hard time. So again, it just depends on the context in which the word is used. Not every time the word tribulation is used in the Bible, it's not always talking about the great tribulation of the end times. Sometimes it can just mean people going through a hardship. Like, yeah, people in 70 AD, they were living through a tribulation, but that was not the tribulation of the Bible, like the end times tribulation. Again, same word, different context. Same thing with hell. Sometimes in the Bible, the word hell can mean a condition of suffering. Other times, hell can mean the grave. It just depends on the meaning of the context of the word. Same thing with the word heaven. Sometimes the word heaven is used in the Bible, where it represents the blue sky above our head. Other times it's used, like in Isaiah the 14th chapter, to represent a condition of being like superior, right? Being set on high. Like, say for instance, Joe Biden, he's living in heaven. Why? Not literally living in the kingdom of heaven, but symbolically. He can sit around on his behind all day, have people, you know, uh, do his bidding for him, right? He could, for lack of better words, right? That dude can literally get served breakfast, lunch, and dinner in bed without a care in the world taking place, right? So that man's living in heaven, not literally in the kingdom of heaven, but figuratively living in heaven, a good state of being, right? Well, in his case, I don't mean a good state of being as far as health wise, but as far as like not having to worry about what the average man has to worry about. I believe it even quotes that. I believe that's, what is that, scripture? I believe that's Psalms the 73rd chapter or the 72nd chapter, right? It says they're not in trouble like other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Speaking about, the like politicians and kings and rulers, they're living these high up positions of society, so they're not having to work that 9 to 5 like how me and you have to work. They're not having to worry about, having to be, having the money to pay the next car payment. They don't have to worry about things like that, like how me and you have to worry about, right? But anyway, I digress. So again, that was my fourth question. If we, excuse me, let me read it from the paper. This is the fourth question. I'll reiterate it once again. If the end times have already passed 2,000 years ago, why are we seeing all the signs happening in the world today? That's the fourth question. Now, the fifth and final question that I like to ask, and I've actually asked this to multiple full preterists before in conversations, but I've never had anybody actually answer this for me. All they can do is just pretend like I didn't ask the question and move on to a different topic, or, they'll give like a half-ass answer, but they won't actually address the question head on. And here's the fifth and final question for this video. And it's this: where do believers go when they die if we are living in heaven right now? If we're living in eternity, the kingdom of heaven today, where do righteous people go when they pass away? Well, you can't say they go to heaven, because we're in heaven right now, apparently, according to the belief already, right? With Christ ruling the world. So if we're in heaven right now with Christ ruling, where the hell are people going when they die? You can't say they go to hell, because that apparently was done away with as well. Because remember, they said the lake of fire judgment already happened. So people can't be going to hell. They can't be going to heaven because we're in heaven right now. So they can't be going there. So where the hell are people going when they pass away? Think about that. This is a very good question, and I've never seen anybody answer this. Where do believers go when they die if we're already living in heaven? That's the fifth and final question. Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Christ tell the apostles that those that believe on him are what would have everlasting life when he returns? So wait a second, why are believers even dying in the first place? I thought we're supposed to have everlasting life. It's like, didn't Christ make so many promises in the Bible where he said that believers on him, when he comes back and resurrect them, he's going to give them a new body and they're not going to pass away, they're not going to die anymore? All these guys can do is say, well, that's metaphoric, not literal, just got to like make it up as they go along. But anyway, I don't want to make this video, too drawn out. But again, I think these are very good questions that I really haven't seen anybody else on the internet ask, full preterists. So once again, any full preterist that watches this video, I challenge you to respond. Hell, you can even do a video response and send it over if you like. Or you can comment down below in the comments. The choice is yours. But again, this is my open challenge to anybody who believes in full preterism. You cannot explain all 5 of these questions. You just can't do it without 1, contradicting yourself, or 2, admitting that there's some flaws with your belief. So anyway, I'm going to call that the video.